Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to the Vegan World 2026 Moonshot podcast. And today I'm here in Clayton, California. So you won't see my usual green background. And today I'm going to be speaking to Kacper Nowicki of Green Rev Institute from Warsaw, Poland. And we are going to be talking about how the vegan movement is flourishing or faring in Central Europe and in Europe in general. So, welcome, Kacper.
Hi, it's really nice to see you and welcome everyone who is watching or just listening us. Thank you for invitation.
Yeah, my pleasure to have you. It's fascinating to observe what is going on in Europe, and so I would, yeah, love to hear from you more on what has been going on there in Poland.
Okay. Of course, I know that situation in Europe when you live, for example, in United States or other parts of the world may see perfect. We have democracy everywhere, and participation and the best situation to fight for vegan and animal rights things. It's not this in 100% like this, but I hope we will solve this until our conversation today.
Yeah, it's more. I mean, we understand. It is the same push-pull mechanism that happens everywhere. But we in the United States, we are living in the head of the empire, so to speak. It's so you can see the resistance much more, and we see more of a give and take in Europe. At least that's the way I see it at the moment. So.
Yeah,
Tell
of
us more
course.
about the Green Rev Institute, who started it, and what is your role in it? Yeah?
Okay, so Green Rev Institute is, I think it would be honest to say, only one think tank, abolitionist think tank in Poland,
Hmm.
founded in 2014 by Marcin Anaszewicz and Anna Spurek. It was also founded by Sylwia Spurek, current member of European Parliament from Greens IFA. Right now, after 8 years, it's over 20 people, mostly women, who are fighting every day for animal rights and fighting with climate change. Also on nation level, like in Poland, by making statements, opinion, and calls to action to our government or local governments, but also fighting, and it's especially because of our presence in European Parliament, thanks to Sylwia Spurek, fighting for changes on European level, because as you know, Poland is part of European Union, which makes us in very comfortable position to opinion European programs, to make statements, to organize with organizations from another countries in the European Union. And we try to influence the public debate about rights of so-called agricultural animals, and we try to make dialogue, fair, honest dialogue with authorities, with politicians, but also with society and with farmers and with people who sometimes may not feel the same empathy to animals that we feel. But we try to raise this awareness, and that's what Green Rev Institute is. We run several advocacy projects, as I said, on European and nation level.
Yeah, tell us about the Vegan Warsaw documentary that you did.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of our latest projects. Vegan Warsaw is our first short metrage, but still documentary film about our capital city, but from a level of vegan businesses. To be
Mhm.
specific, this film has around 30 minutes. You can, of course, search this on YouTube by typing
Mhm.
Vegan Warsaw. You can watch it with English subtitles, so it's not a problem. You don't need to know Polish because
Right.
it's not common in the world. Um, and it says the story of four vegan businesses, but as I said, but biggest part of the plot is not only the food and those businesses, but the people who created this. And what's
Right.
interesting, they're not only from Poland. It says a story about roślinny kurczak, which means in English plant-based chicken, Yumiko Vegan Sushi, a local vegan bistro, and one company which in Polish is Słuszna Strawa, and it just gets word games, but it's just a social industry of which helps another people, immigrants and people in hard situation to start a new life in Poland. And
Mhm.
all of those companies just feed Polish people with vegan food, and very often they feed non-vegan people with delicious vegan food.
Mhm.
That's what Vegan Warsaw is about. According to Happy Cow report from 2019, Happy Cow is a worldwide app which shows cities and places, the most friendly places for vegans and vegetarians.
Mhm.
This report, Warsaw was one of 10 most vegan-friendly cities in the world, next to Berlin, Los Angeles, New York, and so on and so on. And what showed us that beside the pandemic, this business is still growing, it's flourishing. And we decided to show story of people who create this. And what
Right.
was interesting about this, people who create those businesses are not only restaurant people who want to gain money and make a profit of their business, but they have some political and ideological rules statements that they want to show to the world. For example, one of those restaurants is created by people who are not from Poland in very great part. For example, they came from Asia, Africa, or West or East Europe,
Mhm.
and they want to show Polish people that you can eat delicious food, and it's not have to be done by Polish people, and it doesn't have to, hurt animals.
Mhm.
So it was produced and directed by people from Green Rev Institute. As I mentioned, Anna Spurek and Marcin Anaszewicz, who are our COO and CEO, they directed this film. So it's in the bottom of our heart because we haven't just contracted and outsourced this film. We just created
Right.
this by ourselves in majority part. And it was created thanks to VEC Fund, which helped us in financial way to create this movie. What's interesting when you would watch this film, and and I'm sure you will after our conversation, after my advertisement, you will see that those people are not apolitical. Apolitical. They criticize the system on a lot of levels, and they show
Mhm.
that it's not enough to be a vegan. You need to be active vegan if you want to change the world, and you need to show the world your passion, your idea, and the things that you're doing to save our planet.
Yeah, it was an absolutely inspiring documentary. I have to tell you that. I watched it, and what struck me about the documentary was how these young people, mostly I think it was generation younger than mine, who decided that they need to act, not just talk. They wanted to act, and they created these businesses, as you said, to make a political statement, really, about the system that we are in.
Exactly. And they're not trying to, just say, okay, maybe some of us should go vegetarian, maybe we should stop some wars on our planet. No, they're just 100% active, and they say abolish the borders, stop the war, liberate animals, because one of the most important phrases from this film is liberation of animals is liberation of people. And
Exactly.
it's also one of the most important phrase of whole veganism. It's also our mission in Green Rev Institute, that if we want to make next step in our civilization process, if we want to make whole humanity equal, we need to liberate animals and go vegan as a societies. And
Right.
they're not gonna play as okay, maybe today try to be vegetarian and you don't have to do anything else. They very often just say veganism is our only option to save our civilization.
Right. It is. We call it the Human Earth Animal Liberation Movement. HEAL. That's so. It's
Exactly.
essentially, you have to liberate the earth. You have to liberate animals. You have to liberate humans in order to literally heal the planet. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing maybe about this film, because we as a civilization exactly have one of the first in our US history global problem, which was COVID-19. And what was interesting that this documentary also shows that those places survived because they have a very well organized and very engaged team of people who created this. And this factor that they weren't only working for profit but for some values, and they created a group of people who were just their fans and helped them survive this hard time. And right now they see that after pandemic, only those businesses which were really engaged into into local community were able to survive this hard time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's again another inspiring nugget I got out of the documentary. So thank you for creating it. We would love
If
to
I
see
may,
it.
if I
Huh?
may say one more thing,
Yeah.
because I maybe it will be just fun fact, but as you know, or maybe don't know, so I will tell. In Poland right now, we have very tense political situations. I mean, inside and outside, and our whole government as a country is far right, but most of our city governments are liberal. And what's interesting, we asked our Warsaw government, our Warsaw leaders, to make a patronage of this film, just to promote it by city channels. And what's interesting, we received a reply that this film doesn't promote Warsaw things, Warsaw businesses, Warsaw values, and they won't give us this patronage. So it shows exactly what those people in the documentary said, that some politicians still, just want to make a photo with some activists or some people who are really fighting for change, but they don't want to help in Rio. So
Mhm.
it's really important to remember that not only those conservative politics are not on our side, very often those politics who name themselves liberal or even green are only like that in the flash of cameras. So I just wanted to mention it, to show what political situation we have right here.
Yeah, it's a systemic issue, as you point out. So thank you for, I mean, again, thank you so much for making that documentary. It was eye-opening, in many ways. Yeah, just listening to the people who were featured in the documentary was eye-opening. The other thing I wanted to ask you is about your the involvement in the Future Food for Climate Coalition.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think, and I can call this right now, and my boss, who is surely watching us, will would say the same. That it's our biggest project right now, Future Food
Oh,
for Climate Coalition,
hmm.
and it links our conversation with our advocacy projects on nation level,
Hmm.
because we decided that if we in Poland have 144,000 non-governmental organization and organization of a social on social level, uh, it's really strange that so little amount of them is able to fight for animal rights and for issues connected with climate change. And for first, we didn't know why is it. And we knew that a lot of those organizations are focused on another important issues, But we decided that what we should do is raise critical mass of amount of organization who will be able to make real influence of our European universe. And we decided that what we have to do is create a coalition of organization working on a lot of levels, and I will talk a little about a few of them in a minute. To invite a lot of organizations to one coalition, in which we can produce statements, calls to action, opinions, and create projects, advocacy projects, who will be able to who will let us to be the voice of animals. And as you can hear in this name, Future Food for Climate, it will focus on ethical, green, and just transformation of agricultural system, but with focus on food system and food system transition. It's something that we'll fight in next years the most for, because of course in Europe we have very tense debate of transformation of energetic system, of stop using plastics and so on, changing our transportation system. But what we see is lack of critical mass could be able to influence debate on food transformation process. And
Right.
we created a coalition. Right now, we have over 20 organizations only from Poland,
Mhm.
but our plan, and I can say this, is to have 100 organizations till end of this year, and I think it will be success for us. Also, we are in for international coalition. So, as I said on the beginning of our conversation, we have a lot of organizations and coalition in the European Union, but before, in the past years, they weren't so connected to work together and fight for the cause of climate change and animal rights.
Mhm.
Actually, what's interesting, we have meeting tonight. It was quite funny coincidence, because I knew that I will want to say something about this coalition today, and we have our first meeting with our coalitions tonight. So I think it will be great meeting. Uh, Also, we have few projects. We organize few projects with those organizations. For example, last week we had meat tax debate about
Mhm.
future of fiscal solves that can help us transform our food system. Because, for example, in Poland right now, meat is taxed on the same way as apples, oranges, and another fruits or vegetables. But if you would like to have fair price of food, fair price of
Mhm.
influence to climate change, of influence to our biodiversity, which is dying around the globe, you would have to increase the price of this meat by, some experts says 20 to even 60%. So we were talking about with experts and media workers and activists and politicians also. We were talking about solves that can help us to resolve this problem. And
Mhm.
also in next weeks, and that's why I encourage all of our viewers to follow Green Rev Institute on social medias. We'll organize next debates about future food, when we will talk about cell meat and vegan options and growth of those businesses in the future. And also we will make a debate between members of European Parliament and activists, which we want to encourage activists from Poland and MEPs from whole Europe to just join one meeting and talk about our future and about our reality. So that's our great project that we are launching right now, and I hope that as many as we have those organizations will be able to engage in this.
Wonderful. I have a student at ASU who's studying subsidies, meat subsidies, and meat prices. And she's beginning with the thesis that the price of meat should be proportional. The price of any food product should be proportional to its carbon footprint.
Yeah, exactly. Because as you know, if you would count, if you would count the real price of meat, you would, and this, like for example, a lot of meat producers don't pay for water the same prices as we pay in our households or another companies pays. If you would take, you know, this amount of suffering of billions of animals, only in Poland we kill 1,300,000,000 animals every year just to eat them or products of them. Um, if you would take that cost and show, I even wrote an article about this a few weeks ago, that right now in Polish shops, very often you can find out that chicken wings are, I cannot even say chicken wings, for me is something so, just something so unnatural, but chicken wings, as we call this in shops, are cheaper than tomatoes. And you know, when you would take a look on producing 1 kilo of tomatoes by water consumption, energy consumption, work consumption, and
Mhm.
compare this to chicken, then this chicken should be 7 times as pricey as it is.
Right.
So, you know, we don't want anything special. We just want fair prices and stop lying to consumers. Because, you
Right.
know, right now consumers even in this Europe paradise, even here consumers are just lied by producers and, unfortunately, I have to say, by politicians and public institutions about those.
Yeah, there is what I call a lot of meat splaining going on. You know, everyone
Exactly,
is meat
exactly.
splaining. The real impacts of what we are doing. And as long as we hide the real impacts of what we are doing, we're not going to do the right thing, right? People
Yes,
won't have the information to do the right thing.
exactly. And the same is of course with milk, with cheese, with eggs, with, you know, every part of this business. That's, unfortunately, many politicians want just business as usual, and they don't want real change. As I said, they just want photos with activists on climate strike or something like this.
Right, right. So, what are the actions that are being taken in the European Parliament uh, to influence this, to change the
Yeah.
dialogue? Yeah.
What's interesting, actually, right now, Poland, because European Commission, this is kind of European government to
Mhm.
people from outside the European Union who are watching us. European Commission is made like every country has one commissioner from for various things, like for interior things, agricultural, safety, and so on and so on. Those positions are changing between years, and right now Poland has a agricultural commissioner. What's interesting, because you know we can just write to commissioner who is who is responsible for animals and who is responsible for agricultural things in Polish, and you know just tell him what's going on and what he should do. And that's part of our advocacy works. For example, we last year we received over 40 calls to action statements linked to European policies like Farm to Fork, which is strategy showing how we should produce our food from growing it on a farm or on a field, through whole process of producing, transportation, distribution to consumers. So we show our statements about this. That's why we need those international coalition inside the European Union, for example. Also, sometimes we just wrote letters. We just write letters to those commissioners. But the most important thing that is going on right now in the European Union, it started over a year ago, but right now it's still alive. It's our call to create a place for commissioner who would take responsible for animal rights, because right now all those things are under responsibility of this commissioner who takes care of agricultural things. But animal rights are just something that someone would write in some policy of European Parliament, of European Commission, but it's not totally serious. So we want, as we see passivity of politicians very often, we just want to do our advocacy works. We try to lobby specific members of European Parliament. We go to European commissions, and we try to, show European parliamentaries that this is the very important topic. For example, last week in the European Parliament, we had a very, very sad situation because Jeremy Desterle, who is French European parliamentarist, and also he is, of course, farmer. He created with Agri Commission, it's Agricultural Commission in European Parliament. He created a report about animal welfare. And when you hear this, you think, okay, that's great. European Parliament thinks about animal rights. They write reports about welfare and so on and so on. But when you read this, you, for example, can read that foie gras is not harmful process to make. I don't know, all of our viewers, watchers know what foie gras is. Foie gras is just a process of force feeding goose and ducks when they have to eat a lot of food in very short time, and it's against their will. And after this, they are killed, and their livers are just used as a very expensive thing to eat. And of course, it's harmful process to produce it. But this farmer and people who are working with him, of course, lobby of agricultural companies, they just said that everything's okay, it's not harmful, and it should be continued because of tradition and so on and so on. And unfortunately, this report was voted on plenary session. We tried to stop it, but unfortunately, a lot of European parliamentarians voted for it. And it's example of situation even in Europe we are not able to write in our documents that animal welfare and treatment of animals in European Union is on a tragic level. So that's example of how we work on European level. But also, thanks to this, that we are in international coalition, we are able to, meet in some meeting about some campaign that we want to launch in whole European Union. And then local NGOs in Poland, France, Germany, Czech Republic, and so on are able to launch this campaign on nationwide level. So it's how it works in with this federalized European Union.
Yeah, well, keep up the good fight. This is it's very critical that we at least bring the arguments to the table and create enough uh, debate and conversation around this issue at the high level. But at the same time, we need to be doing things at the grassroots, at the ground level, right?
Yeah,
Which
of
brings me
course.
to the
And we
next
try.
thing that you Green Rev Institute has been working on, which is vegan meals in schools. So
Yeah,
how
and
are we going to get that? Yeah.
I'm really happy that you asked about this right now, because what I've said already today, it was mostly about those nationwide or European wide things. But we still have to remember that the most important level that we should work on is our local level. As you know, a lot of companies have this slogan that think local, think global, act local, and I think that we should a little bit think in this model. I mean, of course, we can try to influence on European level, but still we have to think about local level and local public debate, and that's what we want to do with our vegan meals in public schools and kindergarten projects. Because what's interesting, in some regions of Poland, for example, in big cities, really vast part of society don't eat meat and animal products like milk, eggs, and so on and so on. Um, and what we want to do is create a space in public debate and maybe even change the law in some local places. Because right now in public canteens in school and in high school, in primary school, secondary school, but also in kindergartens, normally children cannot eat anything vegan or even vegetarian.
Mhm.
And even if they want to eat something vegetarian, they will receive fish on its plate, which may sound funny from our vegan position, but a lot of people just think that fish is something vegetarian. And what we want to show to local governments and local media. It will be also project connected with our Future Food for Climate coalition, with local small organization which will influence local public debate. We want to show that it's possible to make at least one vegan option every day in those public canteens. Right now, that may be funny, but when I was in high school some time ago, only vegan option in our canteen was French fries or ketchup or water. So it was my option. And I would just like children to know that you can eat a vegan option in public canteen. It's healthy. It's 100%, eatable. It's not only grass and rocks, as some people show this. And of course, our dream is to make those canteens 100% vegan, but we know that we have to act step by step. And
Yeah.
that's why we also want to propose one 100% vegan day every week. And what's interesting, we have a few signals around the world that it's working. For example, in Berlin, 33 canteens from universities practically erased meat from its menu. Right now, you can rarely meet their milk or dairy or eggs or things like that, but most of food is vegetarian or vegan. In New York, for example, there is something what they call Meatless Monday. Um, and they just in every canteen in New York public school, you can eat vegan or vegetarian. So it's system change, and it's the same what we want to do in Poland, not only
Mhm.
in the biggest cities like Warsaw, Poznań, and Krakow, but we want to go with this project to little cities or even to villages where there is only, for example, 2 or 3 schools, but still the change is possible, and that's
Yeah.
what we want to do. Of course, it's not going to be easy because dialogue with local authorities, it's very often like, oh, we would even do this, but our central government would let us do this. And in fact, in Polish law, we have something like children must be able to eat milk, dairy, cheese, or eggs or meats every day. But we think that there is a legal way to organize vegan meals in public schools. And that's what we want
Mhm.
to do. And the most important thing that we want to do is not even make schools vegan, because we know that it's impossible on some level today, but we want to start public debate about this. And we'll start this advocacy projects in following weeks.
Yeah. Do you know the work of Professor Jan Stoop at the University of Erasmus in Rotterdam?
I
He has.
haven't heard.
I will send you a link to his work, and basically he has a five-step program to turn any canteen into vegan default. I mean,
Oh,
basically there's a very systematic way in which you go about showing people that if you don't have vegan as default, you are actually destroying the planet.
yeah, that's true. And that's very important also, not only on food system transition level, but if you go to school in Poland, I even remember this, from the first day on some science or nature classes, you will know that, cows are to produce milk, eggs,
Yeah.
chicken are to produce meat and eggs, and so on and so on. And all this, I gotta say, it is bullshit, which we
Right.
say to children.
Right.
And what's the worst about this? We are not only, you know, uh, letting those children eat meat, which is unhealthy, and it can cause cancer, for example, on so many levels. But we create another generations who think that eating meat, eating dairy, eating eggs is healthy, and that is something natural to kill billions of animals. And it's so little to show this way to those children who normally have much bigger empathy than adults have.
Right.
If you will tell children that to eat this sausage you had to kill a pig, I can guarantee that 9 of 10 children will never touch this sausage again. Not the same with adult person. So it's very important to start really early. That's why we want to focus not only on public high schools or secondary schools. We want to focus on primary schools and also kindergartens, because we need to
Absolutely.
start educate children from the as young as we can, because we just have to show ethical, fair, and green way to make this transition, because we
Mm.
won't be able to do this, and we won't be able to have all those very popular Fit for 55 targets or things like this without food system transitions, and we won't be able to make food system transitions without next generations.
Absolutely. So I mean, you point out how even in primary school, elementary school, we are lying to our children.
Yeah, exactly.
We are
That's
absolutely lying to our children. And to me, it is a crime against humanity to lie to children.
Of
Literally,
course,
I make
you're
it simple.
absolutely right. On every level, of course, it's not only on it's not only level of animal rights or veganism. Lying to children is creating a problem for next. I would even say centuries, because
Right.
if you will teach something to children of age 10 or age of 3 or something, these children in next decades will have its own children in
Mhm.
very in a lot of cases. And as a parent, they will have some ethical system that they will take to next children. So for me, it's unethical to teach our children something which is not true. And we
Right.
know by our science that eating animals is not ethical, is not it destroys our planet, and it hurts billions of animals.
And it also hurts our health, right? We have diabetes,
Of
heart disease,
course.
cancer, or, from eating animals. And so it looks like we are lying to children in order to create a new set of customers for the pharmaceutical industry or medical industry or whatever industry that we are promoting. And to me, it is absolutely unethical and it's a crime against humanity. And people need to answer. Those who are lying to children and putting it in textbooks need to answer before us. So why are they doing this?
Exactly. You asked why. And I have this problem, but it's not even I mean, of course, it's great problem, but I have this problem in talking to people when I start to talk about veganism, about business as usual, about convincing political class to make real change. I have this problem that answer on practically every question is capital. I mean, money
Mhm.
is money and influence. And it's the main problem that right now our food system is based on 20 or 30 companies that rule the world on every basis, on basis of water, on basis of grass or other food, on meat, dairy, and so on and so on. Very often those companies are sponsors of schools, or are sponsors of scientists who write course books for those children. And very often it's not objective, and that's what we want to fight with this whole capital, with this whole money and influence, with those enormous companies. it's very hard, of course, because we don't have billions of dollars, to just lobby or buy politician to vote for animals. We just have to convince them by facts and by critical mass from society. And that's what we will try to do as number of organization in Future Food for Climate Coalition, in which we will try to make this happen with this vegan meals in Polish schools and kindergartens.
So I know that your founders were political scientists or social scientists, right? Are they?
Marcin Anaszewicz is one of our founder. Another one is Anna Spurek, and Sylwia Spurek, which now is European parliamentary, but she's a lawyer. So we are a community of people from really various communities before, like business, like politics, and science, of course, too, who try to make real change.
Yeah, I mean, because you have a lawyer among your founders, I'm thinking that perhaps a lawsuit for lying to children. I mean, this is I mean, when I found out, okay, that I have been lied to as a child, that I was lied to in my textbooks, I was so upset. I was very angry with my teachers for lying to me. And then I realized my teachers were also lied to. So they didn't have the critical faculty to go and question what they were teaching me. So this is why I made a promise to my granddaughter that I'll never ever lie to her. That she can absolutely, anytime she can come and ask me anything and I will tell her the truth. You know? And I think this is the kind of pact we need to have with our children and our younger generation. So if they, I mean, I can look at her textbooks and I can tell you, this is a lie. I tell her, this is a lie, this is a lie. Okay, so don't buy these things. Don't believe this. But why do I have to do that? Why do we have a society in which we are lying to children? Right? And I think this is something we need to ask at very high levels and get people to stand up and either say, we want to lie because we want your money. Then they make it obvious, what kind of system we have.
It's as simple as that. There's no ideology behind this. There's no, they don't want. The problem is the law itself that has business as usual legislation, which is not made by people, by society. It's made by people from those companies. And when you said that you would like to sue those people, and you were so upset when you found out about those course books, it would be great to make this to make whole world just and make a lawsuit to all those people that are lying to us and who are killing us, because I think we can say that they are killing us. But what we can say right now, because we can sue just CEOs of these companies, because they have billions of dollars to prevent situations like those. But actually, we have to make politician class and policy makers to feel fear. And I'm totally serious right now. We have to make them feel fear because of society critical mass. Because they won't just get up one morning and decide, okay, from today I'm vegan, I will fight for animal rights. They don't have enough courage to make next step. They just stopped. And they think that, it's enough that we will launch a program of solar panels and we will save our planet. No, we have to say that it's not enough. And, we see this in various situations on voting in European parliaments, in Agri Commission, which a lot of companies are sponsoring. The influential people in European Parliament. Unfortunately, we have system which is based on money and influence. And unfortunately, we pay to those people who kill us by buying those products of those. And only thing we can do is stop this by creating a critical mass and fear our policymakers.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for being here. Do you have any other comments you want to make before we?
Actually, I would, if I may,
Sure.
just to 1 or 2 minutes, I would like to say something about what we plan for the next year, because I said so many very big things about making fear to policymakers and things like those. But maybe some concrete things. For example, we will organize an interdisciplinary and intersectional event, which I can say now, name will be VECFest. It will be international, of course, online events with a lot of organization, which will discuss various aspects of veganism, of plant-based diet, of food system transition. And we'll try to talk to politicians, to businesses, to companies, to people, to activists and policymakers about those veganism, animal rights, and climate change. So it will surely happen on autumn. So stay tuned. Also, as I said before, we want to integrate and flourish our coalition, Future Food for Climate Coalition. And when you said about this truth that you want to share and fly that you want to fight with your grandchildren, I thought about the project that we will launch in next month, which will be white paper on animals factory farms. It will be in coordination with this European parliamentary Sylwia Spurek, which will just want to show facts about animal factory farms in European Union, not without big money, without companies who backs us. We just want to show the facts to society and continue our advocacy work, statements, opinions, and calls to action.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kacper, for being here.
It was honor to talk with you. Thank you really much.
Thank you.